take a little trip with me and hopefully you can see how the hood, suburbs, and Main Street are all connected. Enough respect it, I mean, we network across the globe cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show cause we live on air, yeah.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. I am so happy to have you with me on this edition of the show. Remember, you can always connect with me at paulonwheels.com. paulonwheels.com. Social media, send me an email, whatever you want to do, you can do that. paulonwheels.com. On our show today, we're going to be talking about document management and cloud computing. What does that mean? Is it secure? Don't want to miss our conversation that we have with a representative from a great company out there that's meeting the needs of businesses out there when it comes to cloud computing. When it comes to education, when our kids get out of school, it's hard for them to find a job. The $10 an hour fast food jobs are going away to automation. What can parents, what can educators do to help when their kids graduate from high school and even go to college to go out and get a job? We're going to talk to an educator who's helping to meet the needs of educators, children, ones out there who are trying to make sure they're up on the time in which we live in when it comes to technology so that they can be able to earn a living. But first up, we're going to talk about being a mentor and giving back. Maybe you were raised in unfavorable circumstances and someone took you under their wing and you decided when you got to where you were that you were going to do the same. Or maybe no one ever gave you that guidance, but you got to a certain point in your life and you said, I don't want another student or I don't want another kid to suffer like I did, not having someone to guide them. Well, if that's how you felt, check this out.
It started out with a question. I was looking for someone with a specific experience, a mentor who could help me find an answer to a complicated professional question.
I was that someone. We connected over that single question, the first step in a journey of 1,000 miles. He shared that he was just beginning his adventure of life, and in that moment I realized I was still in the middle of mine.
When I have a question, Turtlewise connects me to experts who have the experience to help me make well-informed decisions. I can take a poll or ask a detailed question, then Turtlewise connects me to the gurus who can provide the best response for me.
Turtlewise is how I connect online with interesting people by answering in-depth questions and sharing my life and professional experience.
Turtlewise makes it easy.
And my questions are private.
Be a part of a community joined by shared interest, experience, and a desire to help someone else make great decisions.
Get started on your journey. Create your free account now at turtlewise.net.
And joining me right now in the Tech Zone is author, founder, and CEO of Turtlewise, Kevin Walker. Kevin, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Thanks, Paul. I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me today.
Kevin, it is an honor to have you. Looking at the website, looking at the company, you guys are definitely on to something. And Kevin, what made you want to create this startup company?
So that's a great question, Paul. And it's from my own personal life experiences. I mean, my mom had me when she was 16. My biological dad kind of skipped the picture, had a very loving Christian family that I grew up with, extended family, so grandparents, aunts, uncles all around. But as far as experience with life challenges and things that I would need advice on beyond that, like which classes to take in school, which schools to even apply for, should I be considering the military, they really ran out of their expertise, and I had to seek elsewhere outside of my network to get that advice. And so what Turtlewise is trying to do is give folks an opportunity to reach outside their network and get great, customized, confidential advice.
And Kevin, now, when you had to reach outside your own network when you were growing up, did you experience any roadblocks out there that kind of shaped your vision? So when you created Turtlewise, you said, I'm going to make this process a little more easier for the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I mean, it's kind of information imbalance. There's those who have the information and those who don't have the information. And certainly, African American community that I grew up in, a lot of younger people, immigrants to this country, folks have an imbalance of information. So those barriers were there. Luckily, there were people who took interest in me as an individual. There were people's parents who were interested in bringing another kid into their network and trying to help me along. But that doesn't happen for enough folks, and I think there's many people who run outside their network and need that additional help.
And Kevin, looking at your own personal journey, when you were able to, I guess, get that guidance on where to go, you went to a very prestigious college, got an awesome degree in engineering. Let's talk about that journey right there and how that kind of shaped you into the individual that you are today.
Well, that's one of those key pivotal things that happened in my life. I mean, certainly it was a crossroad because, I'd done pretty well in high school. I was an athlete as well as a academic, and I did a lot of community service. So it's kind of these three prongs to my effort, and that wasn't by accident. Part of it was the Christian upbringing I talked about, but a lot of it was guidance counselors, other teachers who kind of put me in the right path and suggested I do things. So it really positioned me to look at a larger group of schools to go to than the ones that were right in my location in Maryland, where I lived at the time. And one of my guidance counselors who had some experience in the military said, "Hey, have you ever heard about that prestigious school that you talked about, United States Military Academy?" And I said, no, nobody had ever been in my family, had been in the military, didn't even know where this place was. And she was the one who kind of turned me on to even considering that. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. And Kevin, looking back to where you are today, do you sometimes take a pause and say, wow, I went to West Point, got an engineering degree, startup company, out empowering and enriching one's lives out there, and you sit back and say, wow, look where I'm at now?
Yeah, all the time, every day. It's kind of one of those pinch me moments. Every day I wake up and I say, this life is not supposed to be mine statistically. I mean, if you think about how I was started my life out, my mom and me, it just doesn't happen that way for many people in that situation. So what Turtlewise is trying to do is change those odds for the many other people who it's only because they don't have the right advice, the right mentors, the right coaches in their lives that they don't have a similar experience. So I definitely beat the odds. I'm blessed and thankful for that experience. But I know it wasn't by accident. And I know that part of my design in life is to reach back to others to make sure that they can have that same experience.
And Kevin, take us to that point where you decided, okay, I want to create a company and this is my focus. Was it years in the making, or was it one day you sat down and you were like, you know what, this is what I want to do now, make this into a company and to really put both feet in the water?
Yeah, years in the making, I have to say, Paul. I mean, every little step kind of led to ultimately starting the company. I realized that, in my previous life, I had risen to the level of senior executive. I went on to go to another prestigious institution for my MBA at the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Business. And so I made a lot of contacts, and I started giving back through serving on boards, through coaching and mentoring roles with people in my immediate workspace. And so step by step, I realized that this advice and coaching piece is integral to everybody's life if they recognize it. Either I'm serving on a board giving advice, or I'm getting advice from my senior superiors. And so one step led to another, that led to another. And finally I said, this is too powerful a passion and too much of a need to keep kind of hidden under the bush, and I need to do something about it. And so I did.
And I really like the ultimate goal of the company. I'm reading right here, verbatim from your website, that the ultimate goal is for the lives of all involved to be enriched through meaningful engagements in this trusted, credible, and fun community. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so you put your finger right on it, and it's the differentiator, it's the value proposition. I mean, certainly you can go to other sites that are existing today to get advice. You can do Google searches, there's Quora, there's other places out there, and they do a great job. They provide a great offering for many people. What we try to do is find a space between the Quora, Facebooks, LinkedIn's, and Google searches that are customized, confidential, credible. Much more meaningful kind of discussions that you want to have, and actually reoccurring. I mean, you can create what we call a personal board of advisors, so that if you get great advice from certain people on a regular basis, you could have them at the ready to help you negotiate life's challenges as they occur.
And I'm looking at your website right now, and for those viewing right now, they can see it. And explain the website right here.
Yeah, so I mean, the tagline says it all. Better life through better decisions, and it's intentional because I know that when I was giving advice, when I do give advice, when I help other people, that improves my life. I mean, I get such a charge out of people asking me for my advice, and then seeing them take that advice and turn it into what's unique and interesting about them. So it's kind of one of those questions about, is it better to give and receive? I think you can't answer that because they're both very good. So giving advice really is empowering, and then obviously receiving it and changing the course of your own life, as I mentioned in my case, is also powerful. So we try to make sure that we feed both sides of that, enriching the life of the advice seeker and the advice giver.
And we watched the video, and we saw ones from various age groups, ones who may look like they were millennials to ones who were Gen Xers. And when it comes to Turtlewise, what's the target out there? Who are the ones that are needing the guidance? I know like ones who are getting ready to go to school and things like that, but are there ones a little bit older too who look for the guidance as well?
Yeah, so we did an omnibus survey before we launched Turtlewise to just really answer that question, because we didn't want to boil the ocean. We really wanted to start off targeting a group that saw a need here. And we found that it was millennials. Obviously, they're at very critical points in their lives where they make decisions that will change their lives forever. But as you said, older people making decisions on retirement, making decisions on where they want to move in retirement, making decisions on how to think about elder care for parents. So that's folks in a different age bracket. So it does appeal across the waterfront. If you think about the span and the arc of your life, there are critical decisions that happen, not exaggerating, probably on a weekly basis. It's just we haven't had a place to actually get them solved in this confidential, credible environment before Turtlewise. And so now folks can take those kinds of questions to a place and get some really meaningful exchanges.
And Kevin, why is this so credible, and why is this so needed now in the time in which we live in? Because we look at the millennials, they're bright, they're driven, but they have so many challenges today. They have so many things pulling them this way, that way. This is needed today. How do you feel about it? Do you feel we're at a critical time in human history where something like this is definitely needed for this generation?
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. You hit it right on the head. And I'll give you an example. Someone shared with me when I was telling them about what we were doing with Turtlewise. They said, actually, cast a little bit of a John Desai at Turtlewise and said, well, in my day, they were talking about in their day, this would be your parents, your aunts, your uncles that would give you this advice, and they don't believe in this kind of self-help guru-y kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way they characterized it. And that was probably one time that I got kind of hot under the collar because it showed a little bit of a privileged upbringing, not recognizing that everybody hasn't had that experience. But then if I take another step back, it shows a little bit of not understanding where we stand today in history, that no matter how on it and on top of it your family is, it could completely be intact. It could be, the most learned, the most knowledgeable. We are a global society today. So things that happen, millions of miles away from this location are going to impact us on a day-to-day basis. And no one group or one network has all of that information. So that I think that this can benefit everybody. The questions might be different. The level of concern and the species of the question might be different. But there is not one, I think, personal network that's intact enough to manage the challenges that we see today and the challenges we see 10, 20, 30 years from now.
And if you can answer this, the bulk of the advice that millennials are seeking, does it have to do with education? What field to go into, like the STEM field, especially when it comes to the younger generation, younger than the Gen Xers, junior high, elementary school? We know the way the economy is going to a technological age, and a lot of schools out there are not teaching STEM. What's your take on that? Are ones coming to get advice about that, about which way to go, which field to go into?
Yeah, absolutely. Career advice is a big area that we find millennials asking about. Lifestyle and family issues. Young people starting off in new families, wanting to know how to balance work and maybe going to for a degree in the evenings, and how that balance should work. Folks thinking about launching their own startups. We have an entrepreneur kind of section we call a cluster of excellence within Turtlewise. People are asking questions about starting their own business. So they're not happy like maybe my generation was, that, we start with a company, we stay there for a whole career, we get a retirement, we leave. They're already starting to think that they need to have their own thing in their own space. So it kind of runs the waterfront, but there are, those clusters that people seem to ask a lot of questions about millennials, and they absolutely have to do with career, education, lifestyle, and family, those kinds of issues.
Now, have there been any questions asked that there's no particular cluster for, and you guys like, wow, we need to create a cluster to this for this?
Yeah.
Have you guys experienced that, Ted?
Yeah, Paul, you read my mind. I mean, absolutely. I think that probably the second question was like a question that wasn't one of our clusters, because it just kind of shows how you can't control the internet, and people will ask. Once you have a valuable tool that you think is credible and a great resource, then you're really not going to limit yourself. You're going to say, well, hey, maybe nobody knows it, but I'm going to ask the question just to see. So we found questions on travel. We found questions on, some other things that are not our forte today. But our algorithm in the background takes every user and they identify themselves on things they know about. Simple question: what do you know about, and what are you interested in? When people say what they know about, our algorithm is tracking that. So if we get enough people who say they know about travel, bing, all of a sudden, we have now a new cluster of excellence on travel. So it is a learning, growing, adaptive environment that was built just for that reason.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that talks about the technical side of it. What are some other technical inner workings of Turtlewise that really helps you to achieve the objective?
Well, so we have one of the things I'm most proud of is our gamification. That we try to encourage people to do this from altruistic reasons, because they want to help out people, they want to give back, pay it forward, all those buzz terms that I actually live by, and I think a lot of people live by. If you look at the media today, there's a lot of negativity out there, but just let a storm, a fire, a flood, explosion, natural disaster happen, and you see people giving of their time, giving of their riches, and it shows that there is a real powerful positive nature, in the world, and specifically in the U.S. So what we're trying to do is tap into that. But the technology, we created a gamification piece, which is you earn our insight monetary code, what we call Turtle Bucks, and you can actually use those Turtle Bucks to support a charity of your choice. So we have partner charities that we work with. So it's all about giving back. You earn the Turtle Bucks. It shows up on your dashboard. You get to be proud of how many Turtle Bucks and what level turtle you are. But at the end of the day, you can even turn that into giving back to society.
Now, Kevin, how can ones, if there are millennials out there who are looking to contact Turtlewise, I know we watched the video, but what's the best way for them to try to get in contact with you guys?
So this is one of the great things about being a startup, because and being the founder, because you can make your own choice. So you can actually email me directly if you want at kevin.walker@turtlewise.net. We're .net and .not.com, so that's an important distinction. But kevin.walker@turtlewise.net.
And let's say there's ones out there who have some life experiences and want to help out, being a part of the group of the ones who are part of the clusters, who may can guide ones and mentor them. Is there a call to action to get more people involved with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so a little bit of subliminal message here is that we're all lifelong learners. So you never go on there and say I know everything and I don't have any questions to ask. and we also have something to give. So we never go in and say that, I'm just so downtrodden and I'm so beaten and I have nothing to offer. You certainly can give advice, and you can certainly get advice no matter where you are in the arc of your life. And so we try to encourage people to play both roles. We don't want people to go in only as one or the other. So I would encourage anyone who has a passion for helping people, who has real meaningful questions to be answered, who feels like, maybe the choices out there now on the internet are not necessarily going to answer every one of their questions, or specifically their meaningful ones or confidential ones, the ones that they need to have some intimacy about. Then go to Turtlewise, sign up, have an open mind about being both a lifelong learner as well as someone who can contribute to others. And I think that the site and the community, the people in the community, will sell itself.
Kevin, before we let you go, is there anything else out there you would like to articulate that we didn't get a chance to bring up earlier in our discussion?
Yeah, so we launched in March at South by Southwest, which is a great tech show down in Austin, Texas. I would encourage anybody to go just to be an observer, even if you're not launching a company, because it's a great environment. People are very positive and very supportive. But one of the things that we learned there was that, the Turtlewise concept in our application, which we actually have in for patent pending now, is applicable in other environments. And so we've pivoted a little bit to try to make sure we're inclusive around the education space. So linking current students with future students, with alumni at universities is one of our target areas. So we're focusing on HBCUs and some other schools that would think you would have a lot of population needing to have a lot of mentorship and a lot of coaching. And so we encourage folks who are in that space or around that space to take a look at Turtlewise as well, because we think there's an offering there for you as well.
Well said, Kevin, and it was awesome talking to you, and you continue to keep up the great work, and we love to have you back on to talk more about Turtlewise and just the lives that you guys are affecting out there, and it's been awesome talking to you, and you keep up the great work.
You too, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
There's a call to action out there. Step up to the plate. Let's do it. Let's help guide some ones. When we get back, we're going to talk about education. You're going to find out what STEM means and why guidance counselors, educators out there should really be aware of how technology is changing the game, especially when it comes to jobs. What can parents do to help? What can educators do to help? Going to talk about that coming up next here on the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. Sean will be back in 2 and 2.